What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. So, Guillermo Rigondeaux says Leo Santa Cruz is going to get that work. He wants to give Leo Santa Cruz that work. This is what he recently tweeted. Leo Santa Cruz says the last chance to fight him at 122 is January. Vamos. I'll fight you right now after New Year's Eve. Tiempo ni money es excusa. So, what I gather from this is Rigondeaux is saying Vamos means let's go. So, he's saying if the last chance to fight you is in January at this weight, because presumably, I guess Leo Santa Cruz is going to move up to 126. He's saying, let's go. I'll fight you right now after New Year's Eve. Rigondeaux is fighting December 31st in Japan. So he's saying, I'll fight you immediately after that fight. And he says, tiempo ni es excuse. He's basically saying money. He's like, time for some money excuses. He's basically saying, I'll fight him right now. I'm calling you out, and watch Leo Santa Cruz come up with excuses. It's time for some excuses. That's basically what I gather from this tweet. Now, I like this call out, and I really don't understand what's up with all the hatred for Rigondeaux. I think he's a very skilled fighter, and I really get sick of talking to certain boxing fans because it's just like your knowledge is so like minuscule. And I'm not saying you have to like Rigondeaux. I don't give a fuck if you like Rigondeaux or whoever. I don't really care. But the comments that some people tell me on a daily basis is just crazy. Like I talked to this guy the other day. He said Rigondeaux has no power and he's boring. Now, as far as the power, that's the easiest one to shit on, because what the fuck are you talking about? How does the dude have no power? Did you see Nonito Donaire in the 12th round versus Rigondeaux? That motherfucker was backpedaling, doing the moonwalk, holding his eye, couldn't see and shit. And you had a guy who's normally a come forward fighter not coming forward. That has to show you something. So dispel that right now. That's retarded to say the dude has no power. And then let's talk about the boring thing. I get tired of hearing, oh, he's a runner, he's boring, the Cuban style, boring. Like, to me, that's an easy excuse. It's like a scapegoat. It's like when fighters become too good or they're too skillful, they're boring. Like, that's the best you could do, because you can't see a lot of people beating them, so you would just rather not support them by saying, oh, they're boring. It's too boring for me. Now, when it comes to the boring thing, in a way, I understand it. I get it. Because you got, like, for example, you got Rigondeaux in there with Joseph Igbeko. Not the most fun-filled, entertaining, explosive fight. However, there's a reason for that. The reason is there's levels to this shit. So when you got a fighter like Guillermo Rigondeaux who's on a certain level, a skill level that is above his competitors, it makes them gun shy. It makes them apprehensive. It makes them hesitate. And they don't want to engage with the man. Like, they see, oh, damn, this motherfucker's quick. He's countering me. He has some power. And his whole complete package, what he's delivering, becomes overwhelming. The skill becomes overwhelming for his opponents. So it makes them gun shy and it makes them hesitant. It freezes them. They don't know what to do. And that's because there's levels to this. And that's why these fights become, quote unquote, boring, because you're seeing a one-sided affair. Same thing if you're watching football and your team is getting destroyed and it's 31-0 and your team is the one being skunked, your team is the one with the goose egg, of course it's boring, because you don't want to see your team lose and it's not even competitive. It's so one-sided that it's boring to you because there's not much back and forth action. And I get that. However, instead of blaming Rigondeaux and saying he's boring, you need to blame the motherfucker whose plan is not working for not taking those chances. Like Nonito Donaire. He's the bigger man. He weighs more. He's taller. He's the known puncher. He's the known non-boring, entertaining fighter. Yet he's not taking those gambles and he's losing on the scorecards. That's the thing I don't understand with this whole boring concept. If someone's boring, it's up to you to impose your will on them. If they're too skilled or you can't beat them at this game, you can't outbox them, then don't outbox them. Overwhelm them. Like, you look at Robert Guerrero versus Andre Berto. Robert Guerrero, there's no one on earth that could tell me he's more athletically gifted and quicker than Berto. However, that wasn't his game plan. His game plan was to mug him early and not give him much room to operate. And it worked because Guerrero hurt Berto who was coming off of a layoff. Guerrero did exactly what he should have done in that situation, because you got a guy who's way quicker than you, way more athletically gifted, and he has some power, and you didn't let him get off. He's coming off a 15-month layoff. That was a good game plan. You look at Andy Lee versus Korobov. He hit him with that money right hand, that right hook. He's not going to outbox Korobov. He's not a better boxer. But what he does have is that equalizer, that power. Look at Adrian Broner versus Marcos Maidana. Marcos Maidana was not the one that was considered the more gifted, athletic ability kind of guy. You know what I mean? The one that was the next Mayweather. No one ever said Maidana's the next Mayweather in terms of elusiveness or skill. Some dumbass people were comparing Broner to that. But Maidana did what he had to do. I got power, I'm tough, I can take a shot, and I'm unorthodox. And he caught Broner slipping, and that set the tone of that fight. Same thing with Rigondeaux. When he's fighting Igbeko, when he's fighting Nonito Donaire, and these guys, it's up to them who are falling down drastically behind on the scorecards to come up with a solution to that, to come up with a game plan that combats what Rigondeaux's doing right. Point blank, period. So you guys, a lot of you guys get on here and be like, oh, Rigondeaux's boring. And in actuality, his opponents are making it boring because they're not willing to take the risk. They need to risk getting knocked out because they're clearly losing and getting schooled and getting beat. So it's up to them to come up with a solution and adapt to what's not working for them. You know what I mean? And people are quick to blame the Rigondeaux's the one that's boring. Donaire is the one behind. He's the one getting schooled. He's the one that needs to make changes and potentially get knocked out as a result of it. But that's up to him. If Rigondeaux's so boring, bully him. If he sucks, bully him. Bully him and get your shots off, knock the man out. If it's that easy, do it. Quick analogy for you gaming fans. PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Last year, they had a gaming conference before they dropped the consoles. They say, this is our console with PlayStation 4. So Sony, they went through all the bullet points and highlights of their new generation console. Xbox did the same thing. Now, if you guys remember, Xbox One had a little bit of issue after they've seen kind of what PlayStation 4. PlayStation 4 was $100 cheaper, and Xbox, they had a direction they were headed in. They were going to allow you to take games to your friend's house digitally or some shit, and it didn't go according to plan. And then they had to create some kind of patch, and they already had a bunch of the consoles produced, and they had to revamp their console after they found out the PlayStation 4 and what it was offering. PlayStation 4 didn't make any changes. What they said at the gaming conference was pretty much the console you got on release date. So my point being, using this PlayStation 4 versus Xbox One comparison versus this boxing shit, PlayStation 4 would be the boxer who's winning the fight. It's not up to them to make changes if they're succeeding at what they're doing. It's up to the Xbox One to keep up and to make those changes to be competitive. If you guys remember, Xbox One also came out with another console where they lowered their price point $100 to compete with Sony and PlayStation 4. Now, I know some of you guys are idiots and it'll be a whole video and you'll focus only on Xbox One and PlayStation. This is not some people, oh, Xbox One is still better. I don't care about that. This is about boxing. I'm just using it as an example. And again, it's not up to Rigondeaux to make changes when what he is doing is working. So if he's so boring, make it competitive. Get on his level. Bully him. Knock him out. You know what I'm saying? Simple. Now, as far as the Leo Santa Cruz fight, this is a fight I really want to see. Just because I'm all about unifications. I'm all about young fighters fighting, you know what I mean, veterans and things like that. I actually know some people on the Leo Santa Cruz team. And this is no disrespect to them or anybody. On my channel, I give it to you guys raw and uncut. I keep it real and tell you, call it down the middle how I see it. I can't see Leo Santa Cruz fucking with Rigondeaux, to be honest. I think Rigondeaux would school him. I think Rigondeaux is just too much of a sharpshooter for Leo Santa Cruz. And I really like Leo Santa Cruz. I made videos in the past about him. It's an interesting fight, more or less just because you got a young guy who's undefeated, and it's a different style. We know Leo Santa Cruz has heart. He has that Mexican heart, big Mexican heart. He's a volume guy, tries to break you down. And arguably he's not afraid to take a punch to deliver his, and he's a good body puncher, very good body puncher. He rips to the body. So it'd be interesting. I just can't see him beating Rigondeaux. I can't see him fucking with him at all. You know what I mean? I just think Rigondeaux is just too much experience, especially if you look at pedigrees. Rigondeaux has a million amateur fights. Then he did what some fighters can't even do. Like, you got to really look at it. Some fighters have 20, 25, 30 fights, and then they have their step up and they fall short. Like, look at Canelo. Canelo had a bunch of fights. Had his step up challenge versus Mayweather, fell short. You know what I mean? And you look at a guy like Rigondeaux, in 11 fights, he took the top guy who was a respected on a lot of people's top 10 pound for pound list, Nonito Donaire, who hadn't lost in like 11 years, and he made him look silly. He made him look like a child, like he had no place in the same ring with him. He embarrassed him. He schooled him. That's kind of hard to do. Canelo didn't do that when he stepped up to Mayweather, who was pretty much that dude, the guy who's highly ranked and, you know what I mean, number one guy. And it's not about just Canelo. There's a lot of people that didn't do what they were supposed to do when they actually stepped up. So to do that in 11 fights, that means something. That shows you this guy is special. And I just can't see Rigondeaux losing to Leo Santa Cruz at all. I just think just the experience level, the skill level, and I think he's going to end up discouraging Leo Santa Cruz drastically. And another thing is Al Heyman bullshit matchmaking with Leo Santa Cruz's last fight. That's not good experience. You can't, you know what I mean? You don't want to go, that's like leaps and bounds to Rigondeaux. You don't want to go from a fighter like he fought on the Mayweather undercard to a Rigondeaux. That's not good experience. That's not good training for what Rigondeaux is kind of like the Hitman Hart of boxing. The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. I'm not saying he's the best ever and all that, so don't leave no stupid comments. All I'm saying is Bret the Hitman Hart, if you really remember wrestling, Bret the Hitman Hart was known for his technical ability, and that's what Rigondeaux is. He's very technical. So I don't think Leo Santa Cruz has had the right fights to further prep him for a guy like a Rigondeaux. And I'm just seeing these clips of Rigondeaux. He's training for his Japan fight. The boy looks sharp. He looks real crispy. And I ultimately can't see Leo Santa Cruz doing anything to win. I mean, maybe for a couple rounds he can make it interesting, rip to the body, see if that discourages Rigondeaux. But I think by the end of the night he'll get picked apart. And Rigondeaux's calling him out. He's fighting, I don't know if some of you guys know this, but Leo Santa Cruz is fighting on the Bermane Stiverne Deontay Wilder undercard. And I hope Al Heyman don't pick him some fucking bullshit, because he's being called out right now by Guillermo Rigondeaux, who wants that action, boring or not. He's in your division. He's a champion. Fuck boring and, oh, he can't sell in the Cuban style. Fuck all that. Beat the man and claim what's yours. You know what I'm saying? That's how I look at it. Fuck all that other shit. Oh, he's too boring for me. Beat him then. And then you don't have to worry about, because no one's going to give him an opportunity. If Rigondeaux loses, that's the thing. If Rigondeaux loses, no one's going to really want to fuck with him, because like, oh, he's just another guy. He's beatable. You know what I'm saying? So if he's so boring and he's not marketable, beat him. Now we don't have to worry about him anymore. Let me know what you guys think. Rigondeaux calling out Leo Santa Cruz. Do you want to see that? Can you see Leo Santa Cruz beating Rigondeaux? If so, please let me know why and what makes you think that Leo Santa Cruz has a chance with this sharpshooter. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like my video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.